Good morning each and everyone, especially to our instructor, Mrs. Luella Digamon. My name is Jeremy El Nahial, and I will be discussing to you today the continuation of the report done by Mr. Shan Neftali. I will be discussing the competency framework for teachers in Southeast Asia. So without much further ado, grab your ball pens and notebooks as you take down notes of the important details of the lesson. Let's talk about first what is competency framework for teachers. This competency framework for teacher is a guide to improve teachers' performance across the region. Competencies as defined in the framework is a combination of skills, knowledge, behavior, and attributes that enable effective or superior job performance. Moving forward, the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization or SIMU held its 40th SIMU High Officials Meeting at Bangkok, Thailand in 2017. Through this annual meeting attended by high-level education officials from the 11 SIMU member countries, as well as representatives from the different SIMU regional centers and partner development organizations, the competency framework for teachers in Southeast Asia has been approved. CMU has prioritized revitalizing teacher education as one of its priority agenda, hoping for teaching to become a profession of first choice in the region. Competency Framework for Teachers in Southeast Asia is a project spearheaded by the Teacher Council of Thailand in partnership with CMU Secretariat and CMU INATEC in support to achieve the goal. The Southeast Asian Competency Framework for Teachers consists of four essential competencies. First essential competency, knowing and understanding what to teach. It is the ability of teachers to deepen and broaden their knowledge on what to teach, understand education trends, policies, add curricula, and be updated on local, national, regional, and global development. Second essential competency, helping students to learn. It is the ability to know students use the most effective teaching and learning strategies, assess and give feedback on how students learn. Third essential competency, engaging the community. It is the ability to partner with parents and caregivers. Involves the community to help students learn and encourage respect and diversity. Lastly, becoming a better teacher every day. This is the ability to know oneself and others, practicing human goodness, and then mastering the teaching practice. Moving on to the 12 general competencies, 31 enabling competencies, and 136 success descriptors. First general competency, deepen and broaden my knowledge on what I teach. Corresponding enabling techniques or competencies, practice or master my subject content, use research-based knowledge. If teachers have strong content knowledge, they're better equipped to approach new state standards and topics. When teachers work through and understand content in a comprehensive way, they can better respond to student questions and manage class challenges. In many ways, a strong foundation in content can improve overall instruction. Second, general competency. Understand education trends, policies, and curricula. Corresponding enabling competencies. Update myself on new educational trends, study educational policies and how they affect my teaching, understand how to implement the curriculum. As you are learning how to become a teacher, the weighty volume of curriculum, education trends, and policies were likely set out in front of you, and they probably looked intimidating at best. Each subject area has its very own roadmap, and despite the length of these materials, it's extremely important that you become best buddies with any curriculum documents you are given. By effectively using curriculum, you're helping your students to stay on top of the latest in-demand skills and to have a more coherent learning path. Third, general competency. Keep myself updated on local, national, regional, and global developments. Corresponding enabling competency. Check new changes in education environment. Education has been changing in so many ways so quickly that it can be difficult to tell what this entire disturbance will lead to. But in broad sense, it is not hard to see that all these changes are pointing in one direction in increasing educational opportunities for all students. Much of this can be accomplished through individualized learning are combined to create a sort of personal curriculum. Fourth, general competency. Know my students. Corresponding enabling competencies are identify my students' needs and strengths to help them learn better, understand how my students learn, and value what makes my students unique. Students' thoughts, feelings, and attitudes generally determine their level of interest in learning and participation in class. For this reason, getting to know and understand students should be a primary goal in teaching. This has to do with both learners and teachers. As for learners, they understood that a teacher that understood their strengths and weaknesses would be better able to help them to be successful academically. As for teachers, they get to know their students so that they know them as people. Fifth, general competency. Use the most effective teaching and learning strategy. Corresponding enabling competencies are select appropriate teaching and learning strategy, design clear and effective lessons my students can understand, create a positive and caring learning space. Choosing a teaching and learning strategy is not an easy task. Strategies need to be chosen carefully in order to contribute most effectively to student learning. Anytime students are actively engaged in learning, exploring new ideas, and grasping the conceptual nature of discipline, they are learning in a deeper and more meaningful way to apply that knowledge and those skills to other parts of their lives. 6. General competency. Assess and give feedback on how my students learn. Corresponding enabling competencies. Design assessment process and tools, monitor my students' progress, and provide appropriate support. And lastly, use results from assessment to improve instruction. Feedback has a significant effect on student learning as has been described as the most powerful single moderator that enhances achievement. The main objectives of feedback are justify to students how their mark or grade was derived, guide students on what steps to take to improve, motivate them to act on their assessment, and evaluate and regulate their own learning. Seventh, general competency. Partner with parents and caregivers. Corresponding enabling competencies. Build a support network. Create a welcoming space. Sustain the partnership. Positive connections between parents and teachers have been shown to improve children's academic achievement, social competencies, and emotional well-being. They demonstrate better social skills, fewer behavioral problems, and a greater ability to adapt to situations and get along. 8. General competency. Involve the community to help my students learn. Corresponding enabling competencies. Engage parents and caregivers to be partners in learning. Design learning activities using community conditions, local wisdom, tradition, and knowledge. Use the local environment and community as hands-on learning resources and encourage parents, community organizations, and businesses to bring their issues to the school. Make the school a model for a sustainable community that can act as a learning hub and role model for the wider community. Ninth, general competency. Encourage respect and diversity. Corresponding enabling competencies. Accept what makes people different. Practice inclusion and respect in the classroom. If a student feels uncomfortable, unsafe, or not respected, then their chances of success in that class dramatically decrease. Also, our society becomes more diverse. It is important that students learn to value and use diversity to the greater good. Teachers already have a number of roles in the classroom, yet valuing diversity is one of the most important ones a teacher must fulfill. 10th, general competency. Know myself and others. Corresponding enabling competencies are continue to grow by knowing myself more, become more aware and responsible for my emotions and health, and nurture my relationships with care and respect. Students who feel connected to their teachers and peers are more successful and healthy physically and emotionally. Similarly, it's these connections that make teaching such a profoundly regarding profession. To foster this connection, we must be willing to teach from our whole selves. To be real and authentic with our students builds trusting relationships that students can build off in other classrooms and parts of their lives. 11th, general competency. Practice human goodness in my life and in my work. Corresponding enabling competencies. Be kind and compassionate. Inspire my students and colleagues by setting my best example. Nurture my students' confidence on what they can do and become. Many people attempt to be teachers, but not all can boast success. Those who possess the gift of human dimensions are perhaps motivated to make teaching their lifetime vocation. Those who recognize that they do not should move on to find their true calling. 12. General competency. Master my teaching practice. Corresponding enabling competencies. Keep alive my passion for teaching. Take responsibility in my own personal and professional growth. Inspire other teachers by setting my best example. Master any teaching practice develops your ability to understand how your students learn and the best ways to teach them. By reflecting on your teaching, you identify any barriers to learning that your students have. You then create lessons which reteach your content which your students have not been to access to allow them to overcome any obstacles and developed. This will develop your confidence in the classroom as you find the best ways to deliver your knowledge of a subject. You may refer to this Southeast Asia Competency Framework for Teachers as your summary of what we have discussed. And thank you very much for listening. And by the way, these are my resources, and if you have clarifications, you can search them on internet.